She screamed again, but only the metal walls listened. Her voice echoed through the dark cell, shaking with pain, fear, and something worse, hopelessness. The alien chains held her hands above her head, her feet barely touching the cold floor. Her skin was bruised, her lips dry, her eyes tired, but she hadn't given up yet. The ship around her was massive, old, and cruel. Its walls were alive with strange lights buzzing with alien tech that didn't sleep. The creatures who held her were known across the stars, the Zurnak. They were feared, not because they were strong, but because they were cruel. They didn't just kill, they enjoyed watching things break slowly. She didn't know why they had taken her. She had done nothing wrong, said nothing strange, but they believed she was hiding something ancient, and for one long week they kept asking the same questions again and again. Where's the code? What's inside your blood? Open the vault. She had no answers, and her silence only made things worse. Each day brought new pain, new machines, and new lies. They showed her pictures of her destroyed village, burning under green alien fire. They whispered promises if she told them the secret, but there was no secret to tell. Her name was lost in her mind now, hidden under layers of fear. All she remembered was a quiet field back home. The sky above and soft laughter. Now only screams filled her world, far away. In a quiet human outpost near the edge of space, a signal blinked. It was weak, broken, and full of static, but something in it caught attention. Most officers ignored it, calling it space noise, but one man didn't. He wasn't a soldier or a hero. He was a pilot who liked trouble more than orders. People called him Stray Wolf because he never stayed in one place. He didn't care about ranks or rules, only about what felt right, and something about that signal felt wrong. It felt like someone was crying inside it, like a whisper begging for help. He played it again, cleaned the signal, and heard it faint and painful a voice. It was broken, full of static, but the words were clear. Please, help me. They won't stop. Stray Wolf stared at the screen, his heart beating faster. He had heard distress signals before, but never like this. He showed it to others, but they laughed. It's a trap, someone said. Probably bait. From smugglers, another added. Not our problem, said his commander. We don't chase ghosts, but Stray Wolf didn't agree. He knew that voice was real, and someone was in trouble. He had seen too many people turn away from pain. This time, he wouldn't. That night, he loaded his small ship. No backup, no orders, no permission. He didn't even know where he was going, only that the signal had come from a dark zone, a part of space where most people never returned from. That didn't stop him. He called it a crazy idea. But deep inside, he felt something bigger, like he was supposed to do this, even if it killed him, back on the alien ship. The girl hung in her cell, her breath slow. The Zurnak had tried everything, chemicals, machines, even illusions. Still, she gave them nothing. One of them hissed. She's hiding it deep. The vault will open soon. Another replied, if she dies, we lose everything. But they were wrong. She wasn't hiding anything on purpose. She truly didn't know what they were looking for, but something inside her was changing. Strange dreams began to fill her mind, images of old temples, bright lights, and voices calling her name. She didn't understand them, but they felt warm, powerful, like a memory from another life. Then one night, she felt something else, like a soft pull in her chest. Her eyes opened slowly, and for the first time, she felt not alone. Far away, Stray Wolf's ship entered the dark zone. The stars around him seemed quiet, like they were watching. His scanner beeped just once. Soft and low, the signal was close now. He smiled and whispered, hang on, whoever you want. Whoever you want. I'm coming. Inside the cell, the girl opened her eyes again. Something in the air had shifted, like hope had touched her fingers for a moment. She looked up, And with the last bit of her voice, she whispered, "Someone heard me." The ship groaned around her and deep in its hulls. A small alert blinked red. A human vessel had entered range. The Zurnak didn't notice it yet. But something had changed in the darkness. The hunted had a hunter now, and he was getting closer. Everyone told him to stop, but he didn't listen. They said it was too dangerous, too far, too risky. They said the signal could be a trick, a trap, or just a mistake. But Stray Wolf couldn't forget the sound of that voice. It was soft, broken, almost gone, but still full of fight. He had heard pain before. But this was different. This was someone begging to live. He had packed only what he needed: fuel, ammo, a medkit, and a stubborn heart. He left without a goodbye, without orders, without backup. His ship, the Nomad Claw, was small but fast. Built for hit-and-run missions, it was perfect for someone who didn't play by rules. As he flew deeper into unmarked space, the stars grew thin, light faded, and shadows stretched longer between planets. The systems around him were marked dead zones on old star charts. Some believed ancient weapons had been tested there. Others believed it was cursed space, where even time forgot to move. But Stray Wolf wasn't afraid. He was angry. Angry that no one else had tried to help. Angry that someone could be hurting. And everyone just looked away. Meanwhile, on the alien ship, the girl still hung in chains. Her body was weak, her thoughts slow, but her heart still beat. The Zurnak had started something new. They connected her to strange machines, looking for something hidden inside her cells. They kept whispering about a signal key and ancient vaults buried in her DNA. She didn't know what they meant, but each test made her mind feel less like her own. They gave her injections that made her dream of things she had never seen. Tall towers floating in the sky, energy bursting from her fingertips. She didn't know if the dreams were real or if the machines were playing tricks. But one dream kept coming again and again. A human hand reaching for hers, pulling her out of the darkness. Stray Wolf stared at his console, eyes locked on the weak trail. Every hour he got closer to the signal. His AI kept warning him, hostile territory ahead. But he muted it. He didn't want to hear fear. Not now. Then his ship caught something, a faint trace of engine heat. Not natural, not a rock, not a star. It was a ship. He followed quietly, hiding behind asteroids and space debris. And then he saw it, a giant alien vessel, shaped like a dying insect, floating in silence. Its surface was covered with scars, metal patches, and dark towers. There were no lights outside, no signs of life, but he knew it was alive. It was the source of the scream. He could feel it. Stray Wolf whispered, "That's where you are, isn't it?" He cloaked his ship, moving closer. No alarms were triggered, no turrets turned toward him. The ship didn't expect visitors. It thought no one would come. He found a docking port on the underside and locked in. Before stepping out, he took a deep breath. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. It was a mission, and maybe it was personal. He stepped into the alien corridors, long, wet, and too quiet. The lights flickered with a greenish hue, and the walls pulsed like skin. Stray Wolf moved quickly, pistol in one hand, scanner in the other. He had stolen alien maps before, and he used them now to stay hidden. As he moved deeper, the signal got stronger. His scanner beeped softly, and he followed it like a heartbeat. One hallway after another, one stair after another. He saw strange rooms filled with empty cages, broken machines, and dried blood. This place wasn't just a prison, it was a lab. And it had been used for a very long time. Then he found it. The cell was small, cold, and full of shadows. She hung there barely alive, her skin pale, her breath faint. But when he stepped closer, her eyes opened slightly. For a moment, she didn't believe what she saw. Was it another dream? Another trick from the machines? But no, this time, The face was different. This face had warmth, fear, and hope all mixed together. Stray Wolf whispered, "I heard you." The girl blinked slowly, tears falling without sound. She tried to speak, but only a soft sound came out. Still, that was enough. Stray Wolf pulled out his cutter and sliced through the chains. As she collapsed into his arms, he whispered, "I've got you now. No more pain." Suddenly, the lights turned red and alarms began to scream. The ship had noticed him. Back in the main control room, the Zurnak shouted, "There's a human on board. Find him. Kill him." But it was too late. He had her no and he wasn't leaving her behind. As he ran through the corridors with her in his arms, the girl whispered one word, "Why?" He looked down and smiled, because someone had to. The ship came alive with screams not human, but machine. Lights flickered red. Sirens wailed, and strange shadows moved across the walls. Stray Wolf didn't stop, not even for a second. He held the girl tightly in his arms, her body cold and fragile like broken glass. She trembled, but her eyes stayed open, staring weakly at the ceiling. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They'll come for us." Stray Wolf gritted his teeth. Let them try. The alien prison ship was a maze, metal corridors twisted like roots. And doors opened with alien hisses. Every wall was covered in strange writing, like warnings written in a forgotten tongue. The deeper he went, the more he realized something: the ship wasn't built for travel. It was built for pain. Each room he passed told a dark story. There were tanks filled with old bones, cages that hummed with energy, and devices he couldn't understand. One room held only blood stained across the floor in circles, as if someone had danced while dying. This wasn't just a ship, it was a torture house, and the Zurnak were its cruel masters. He moved fast, staying low, hiding from the cameras and drones. But now the drones were waking up, metal bugs with glowing eyes, crawling along the ceiling. One of them spotted him, it shrieked and launched a stun bolt. Stray Wolf spun and fired, his shot clean. The drone exploded in sparks. The girl flinched. But he whispered, "You're safe, I promise." She tried to speak again, but her lips were cracked. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small water pack. She drank a little, her eyes blinking slowly. Her voice shook. "You're not like them." He smiled. "No, I'm not like them. I'm human." Something in that word, human, made her eyes soften. She had heard of humans, distant stories, whispers from guards. They called them unpredictable, reckless, dangerous. But no one had said humans could be kind. Suddenly, the corridor shook. The ship had begun moving, probably turning toward a larger fleet or base. They were running out of time. Stray Wolf slammed a fist against a control panel, trying to force open a locked hatch. Nothing worked, so he pulled out a small charge and blew it open. Smoke and sparks flew, but the path cleared. He coughed and stepped through, the girl in his arms still whispering weakly, "Why are you doing this?" "For me." He looked down. "Because you don't deserve what they did to you. And maybe I've done too many bad things in my life, so saving you is the only thing that feels right." She didn't answer, but her hand gently held onto his shirt. A small sign that she still trusted him even if she didn't understand why. They entered what looked like a science lab. Stray Wolf stopped, shocked at what he saw lined with holograms. Showing her face, her blood, her body, data ran across the screens, alien words flashing fast. He glanced at one line translated by his AI subject's DNA carries ancient code origin unknown. Another line read, "When pushed to limit, subject emits dormant energy burst." Stray Wolf looked at the girl, so thin, so damaged, but now he understood. She wasn't just a prisoner. She was a secret. A key to something powerful, maybe? Something ancient, and the Zurnak wanted to break her mind before unlocking that power. He whispered, "They weren't just hurting you. They were trying to use you." The girl's head nodded slowly, tears rolling down her cheeks. I felt something inside me, like it was watching. Suddenly, the wall behind them opened, and two Zurnak soldiers stepped in. They wore black armor, their hands holding long shock weapons. One shouted, "Put her down, human." Stray Wolf answered with a shot. The first soldier dropped. The second rushed forward, but Wolf rolled and fired again, straight through its eye. Both dropped to the floor. Lifeless, he didn't wait, didn't breathe. He ran down another corridor, past a row of cells, all empty, all filled with silence. Then he saw a door marked with alien glyphs that meant dock. He slammed it open and entered the small hangar bay. His ship, the Nomad Claw, was still docked, hidden under cloak. He ran across the metal floor, alarms still howling. He opened the hatch and gently laid the girl inside, wrapping her in a thermal blanket. Then he jumped into the pilot's seat and, powered up, the alien ship's defenses were coming alive. Now turrets unfolded. Drones buzzed in the air, but Stray Wolf was ready. He punched the thrusters and blasted away from the docking bay. The ship tore through the dark like lightning, dodging fire from behind. As the alien ship grew smaller on the screen, the girl whispered, "You saved me." Stray Wolf looked back, his voice firm. "No," he said, "not yet, but I will." In that moment, as stars filled the view outside, she closed her eyes for the first time in days, not from pain, but from peace. She was no longer just a test subject, a broken thing. She was alive, and someone had come for her, and now the whole galaxy would know it. Asterix the girl couldn't even stand, but Stray Wolf carried her like she weighed nothing. His ship rocked as alien blasts chased them through the void. He pushed the controls with one hand and held her steady with the other. Her body was still cold, her breath slow, but she was alive. That was enough for now. Behind them, the Zurnak warship had fully awakened. It was no longer hiding in silence. Now it was angry, and it was hunting. Stray Wolf scanners beeped loud and fast, 3 ships closing in. Fast and aggressive, he flipped switches, rerouted power, and dropped into low space near an asteroid belt. Sharp rocks surrounded him, but he didn't care. He whispered, "Come on, try and follow me in here." The girl stirred in the co-pilot seat, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes opened slowly, lips dry. "Where are we?" she whispered. "Running," he replied, but not for long. She tried to sit up, but pain stopped her. Her voice trembled. "You should leave me behind. Save yourself." Stray Wolf's voice grew sharp. "Don't say that. You didn't survive a week of their hell just to die out here." She stared at him for a long moment, then looked away. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. Not like she mattered. One of the enemy ships launched a missile. The warning screamed through the cockpit. Stray Wolf took a hard dive, flying low through asteroid fragments. The missile followed but crashed into a giant rock, exploding in silence. The shockwaves shook them, but the ship held together. He grinned. "They're fast, but they're not smart. Still, they wouldn't last long." His ship was bleeding energy, and his engine wasn't made for long fights. He needed to hide or fight back, but fighting back against 3 Zurnak ships, that was death, unless... He remembered something the girl had mentioned: energy. Something inside her, strange power that the aliens were trying to unlock. Maybe she didn't know how to use it, but maybe he could find a way. He turned to her. "Listen, do you remember? Anything strange they said about you?" She blinked, trying to recall. "They said I was a key," she whispered. "That I came from a bloodline meant to open something ancient." She closed her eyes, trying to remember. "They called it the Vault Moon." Stray Wolf's heart raced. He had heard of that name once, in a bar. filled with drunks and bounty hunters. A forgotten moon in a system no one visited rumored to hold tech so old even the ancients feared it. He pulled up the NAV chart, found the system. It was far but not impossible. "We're going there," he said. The girl looked up, confused. "Why?" He leaned back in his seat, breathing hard. "Because if they want you that badly, maybe it's time we stop running and start finding out why." The ship shook. Again another blast hit the shields. They didn't have much time. Stray Wolf rerouted everything to engines and boosted hard. Stars blurred outside as they jumped to max speed. The Zurnak ships followed, still firing. But falling behind, inside, the girl reached for his hand, her voice weak. "I don't even know your name." He smiled slightly, still watching the controls. "People call me Stray Wolf," she whispered. "Why?" "Because I don't belong anywhere," he said. "But right now, I'm exactly where I need to be." The ship rattled as they crossed into unstable space. Radiation, gravity spikes. Ancient debris. This area hadn't seen visitors in ages. But deep inside it, hidden behind a shattered moon, was their target, the Vault Moon, as they approached. The sensors picked up strange energy, pulses old, quiet, but still alive. It didn't look like much, just a gray rock floating alone. But the girl's body reacted. Her heart rate rose, her skin glowed faintly, and her eyes widened. She whispered, "I know this place." Stray Wolf landed the ship near an old structure carved into the moon's surface. It looked like a temple made from stone and metal. Fused by time, he carried her out, gently, her feet touching the dust of a place she had never seen. Yet somehow remembered. As they entered, the walls lit up around her, glowing symbols rising from the floor and walls. She stepped forward on shaky legs, guided by something inside her. Stray Wolf followed, silent, alert, ready for anything. She stopped in front of a door made of shining black stone. Her hand reached out without thinking, and the door opened with a soft hum. Inside was a chamber, empty-xed for a pedestal holding a glowing crystal heart. She gasped, This is what they wanted." Stray Wolf looked around. "Then maybe it's time we give it to them, men our own way." But before they could move, alarms went off again. Zurnak ships had found them, and they were coming fast. Stray Wolf turned to her. "Can you activate it? Can you use it?" She looked at him, uncertain, but brave. "I don't know," she said, "but I can try." The ground trembled as the Zurnak ships entered the moon's orbit. Stray Wolf's ship beeped with warning after warning. Enemy presence detected, weapons charging, missiles locked. But inside the ancient chamber, the girl stood frozen in front of the crystal. Her hand hovered just inches above it, glowing faintly in response to her touch. "Do it," Stray Wolf whispered, "before they find us." She closed her eyes, trying to feel what the crystal wanted. It pulsed like a heartbeat, slow and ancient. Then she heard a voice in her mind, soft and old, speaking a language she didn't know, but somehow understood. "You are the last key." It said, "You are not broken, you are chosen." Her fingers touched the crystal, and light burst out in all directions. The chamber walls lit up, and strange markings moved like waves across the stone. Stray Wolf shielded his eyes as the energy swept over him. Then the floor beneath him began to shift, an elevator, moving deeper into the moon. Above them, Zurnak troops landed near the ship, scanning the area. They moved in fast, expecting to take the girl back. But she was no longer the same girl they had tortured. The platform stopped deep underground, revealing a massive chamber filled with ancient machines in the center. A sphere hovered in the air, metal and crystal fused together, alive with power. The girl walked toward it slowly, like something inside her already knew the way. "It's called the Heart of the Vault," she whispered. "It was hidden by my ancestors to stop the Zurnak from using it." Stray Wolf looked around, amazed. "What does it do?" She placed her hand on the sphere, and everything went quiet. Then the machines lit up, and a soft hum filled the chamber above them. The sky cracked waves of energy bursting from the moon's surface like a signal flare. The Zurnak ships immediately reacted, firing at the vault, trying to destroy it. But their shots hit an invisible shield. The ancient defense system was online again. Stray Wolf turned to her. "Can you hold it?" She nodded slowly, sweat on her forehead. "Only for a while." He clenched his jaw. "Then we don't have much time." He ran back to the ship. Dodging falling debris and alien fire, he powered up the engines while the girl stayed inside. The vault sending energy through the moon. The ship lifted off just as Zurnak troops closed in. He picked her up in a fast sweep, the door slamming shut behind her. "Hold on," he said, gripping the controls. "They're not gonna let us." "Go easy." 3 Zurnak warships turned toward them, each one 10 times larger than his ship. They launched missiles, drones, and beams of energy. Stray Wolf flew hard, twisting through debris. Diving between broken satellites and asteroid fields, his ship groaned under pressure, but he didn't stop. The girl sat beside him, weak but glowing faintly. She whispered, "The heart. It left something inside me." He glanced at her. "What do you mean?" She placed her hand on the dashboard. Energy pulsed from her skin into the ship's system. The ship's engines flared with sudden power. It felt like it had been reborn. The Nomad Claw shot forward, faster than it had ever gone. The Zurnak ships gave chase, but now the human ship danced through the stars like lightning. Stray Wolf laughed. "You're not just cargo anymore, you're fuel." Still, the chase wasn't over. The enemy ships launched tracking mines, which stuck to his hull like leeches. Draining power, he twisted the ship upside down, skimming the surface of a shattered moon with a hard shake and a pulse from the girl. The mines blew off in fire, but the enemy kept coming. Stray Wolf gritted his teeth. "We can't run forever." The girl looked at him calmly. "Then let's stop running." He stared at her, then nodded. She reached for the panel and whispered words in that same ancient language. The ship responded, its weapons glowing with new energy. For the first time, the Nomad Claw was ready to fight back with alien tech reborn by human hands and a girl with power in her blood. He turned the ship around. The Zurnak didn't expect it. They fired, but the human ship moved straight into the firestorm. Stray Wolf used the new weapons. Beams of light curved through space, striking enemy engines. Missiles with glowing blue tips hit their mark, disabling one ship completely. The girl held her hands out, energy flowing from her fingers into the controls. The ship and pilot had become one with her. 2 Zurnak ships exploded. The last one tried to flee, but Stray Wolf chased it. "You tortured her for days," he growled. "Now feel what fear tastes like." He fired the final shot, and the last ship shattered in the distance. Silence returned to space. The girl leaned back, exhausted but smiling. "You did it," she whispered. Stray Wolf looked at her. "Breathing hard?" "No," he said. "We did it." The stars were quiet again, but inside her, something was waking up. The battle was over. But the girl couldn't rest. Her body ached. Her mind swirled with images she didn't understand, symbols, voices, ancient words echoing in her dreams. She sat in the co-pilot seat, hands shaking slightly, as if the power flowing through her wasn't finished yet. Stray Wolf watched her closely, one hand on the control stick, the other near her shoulder. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy, but never someone like her. She had survived torture, unlocked ancient tech, and fought with energy no human could explain. But what scared him wasn't her power, it was what it might cost her. "You all right?" he asked softly. She didn't answer at first, just stared out at the endless black of space. Then she spoke, voice quiet. "I can feel it. Something inside me isn't mine, but also is. What do you mean? He asked. She touched her chest gently. When I touched the heart, it didn't just give me energy. It gave me memory. I saw things war's peace, worlds now gone. I saw a time when my people were warriors. Protectors of something called the Star Core. Stray Wolf frowned. What's the Star Core? She shook her head slowly. I don't know. Only that the Zurnak want it, and my blood is a map to it. Silence filled the cockpit for a long moment. Stray Wolf finally leaned back, arms crossed. So they tortured you to unlock your memories, he said, voice cold. Not just to hurt you, but to use you like a key. She nodded, her voice trembling, and I think I'm starting to open, far away. Sensors blinked on his dashboard, distant signals. More Zurnak chatter. They hadn't given up yet. But now they weren't just hunting her, they were hunting the knowledge inside her. Stray Wolf turned toward a distant nebula. We can't go back to human space yet, he said. If the Zurnak follow us, others will die. She looked at him, confused. Then where? To the forge, he said. It's an old place, but still running, part machine, part legend. They say it repairs broken ships, and sometimes broken people. The girl gave a small smile. Then maybe it can help both of us, ours. Past as they traveled through dark space, her body remained weak, but her mind grew stronger. She began to sense things around her ships that hadn't revealed themselves. Stars that whispered. She could even feel the pulse of Stray Wolf's ship, its systems, its pain, its loyalty, I think. The ship hears me, she said softly. Stray Wolf grinned. Good. Because it stopped listening to me years ago. They arrived at the forge, an enormous structure floating in a red dust cloud, half buried in the rings of a dead planet. Its surface was rusted, old and silent, but its core still glowed faint blue. He landed the nomad claw on the platform and carried her inside. The forge was quiet, but alive. Machines moved slowly. Lights flickered on like waking animals. As they stepped forward, a beam scanned the girl, and a soft voice echoed from the walls. Vault blood detected. It said, "Welcome home." Stray Wolf blinked. Okay, that's creepy. The machines surrounded the girl, gently lifting her from his arms. She looked at him one last time before disappearing behind silver walls. Don't go far, she whispered. I won't. He promised. He waited for hours, pacing, staring into the glowing halls. Then the walls opened, then she walked out. But she wasn't the same. Her posture was straighter, her steps firmer, and her eyes. They glowed faintly gold. Energy shimmered around her skin like a second layer. Her voice was calm, full, clear. I remember now. Stray Wolf stared, speechless. She continued. I was never just a girl. They hid me when I was born, to protect. The knowledge I carried, my bloodline, was the last to guard the Star Core. The Zurnak find it. They'll control every system, and now? He asked, slowly stepping forward. Now, she said, placing a hand on his chest. I'm the last weapon they didn't break. Suddenly, alarms rang again. Zurnak scouts had entered the system. They were coming fast, and this time, they weren't alone. Stray Wolf checked the scanner. Eyes wide, they brought an armada. The girl stepped forward, energy flowing through her fingertips. We'll face them, she said. Not with ships, but with what's inside me. But you're not ready, he said. Worried, I wasn't. She replied, but the forge awakened me. Outside, ships filled the sky, red lights blinking like angry stars. But inside the forge, two beings stood strong. One human, known for going where others wouldn't. One girl, born to hold the secrets of a galaxy. Together, they would not run anymore. The sky above the forge turned red as the Zurnak armada arrived, dozens of warships. Dark and sharp like flying knives circled the ancient structure. Inside, the girl stood still, calm. her eyes glowing softly with golden light. Stray Wolf, loaded. The last of his ship's defenses, heart pounding. He had faced long odds before, but never like this. "We don't have enough weapons," he muttered. "We're not going to survive this." The girl turned to him, her voice quiet but strong. "We're not here to survive," she said. "We're here to end it, outside." The Zurnak broadcast their message across every channel. "This is your final warning, human pilot. Hand over the vault blood or be destroyed." Stray Wolf looked at the girl, then stepped closer to the comms and answered, "You already destroyed." "Everything she had," he said, voice sharp. "You tortured her, hunted her, tried to break her. But she's still here, and now." "She's not alone," the forge responded with a deep hum. And energy began to pulse from its walls. The girl raised her hands, her fingers glowing brighter. The ancient system, asleep for centuries, now awakened at her command, outside the first. Zurnak's ship fired. A beam of red light tore through the sky, aimed at the forge, but before it could hit, a golden shield rose from the moon's surface. The shot bounced off, scattering into harmless sparks. Then, something strange happened. The energy from the girl flowed into the forge and back out into space. A wave of light spread across the battlefield. Zurnak's ships paused, systems glitching, engines freezing for a second too long. Stray Wolf stared, wide-eyed. "You're?" Inside their systems, she nodded, breathing heavy. The vault wasn't just a hiding place. It was a weapon, a voice, a mind, and it remembers everything the Zurnak did. She sent another wave this time, focused, sharp. It slammed into a destroyer ship, turning its own weapons against itself. The ship exploded in silence, torn from the inside out. Now, the Zurnak panicked. Breaking formation, firing wildly, but nothing hit, every shot missed. Twisted by the pulse of the forge, the girl walked forward slowly, her feet glowing with each step. It was like the moon itself had become her body. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I am the last of my kind, but I will not be forgotten." Stray Wolf stood beside her, rifle in hand, but no longer afraid. He knew she was doing something no army ever could. Not by killing, but by making them see they had already lost. Suddenly, a voice broke through the airwaves. A Zurnak commander, snarling, desperate. "You think we fear your tricks? You are nothing but dust and old blood." The girl opened her eyes, calm and steady. "No," she said. "I am memory, and memory never dies." She raised her hands one last time, and the sky above bent. The energy around the forge became pure. Light, and from it came not destruction, but truth. The wave hit every Zurnak ship and transmitted her memory, her pain, her screams, her stolen past. They saw what they had done, felt what she had endured. For a moment, even the machines on board hesitated. One by one, the ships powered down. Some turned and fled. Others simply dropped weapons into space. Not because they were beaten by force, but because they saw what they had become. Stray Wolf stood in silence, the battlefield now still. He turned to the girl, her eyes closed, her body swaying. He caught her before she fell. "You did it," he whispered, holding her close. "You made them stop." She smiled weakly. "I'm tired. You rest," he said. "I'll take it from here." They left the forge, its energy now peaceful, humming like a song remembered from long ago. The galaxy had changed, and it started with one voice. One cry for help, and one reckless human who answered it. Weeks later, news spread across the stars. The Zurnak had withdrawn, their leadership broken, their ships grounded. Races that once feared them now stood tall again. And in quiet corners of the universe, people whispered stories. About a girl who was tortured but never gave in. About a pilot who didn't follow orders but followed his heart. Stray Wolf fixed up the nomad claw. now patched with strange gold. Panels from the forge. The girl, now fully healed, stood beside him as his co-pilot. Where to next? She asked. He grinned. Wherever someone needs saving, and together. They vanished into the stars, not as hunter and hunted, but as legends. The galaxy would never forget.